Hello, it's me, it's Carson, and this is a Divine Favour build. In fact, it's a Radiant Archer Paladin build, go figure. I love Devotion Paladin, so I'm going to use Sacred Weapon. My bow is now glowing, shining with radiant energy. But yeah, I can extend the life of the Divine Favour up to 6 turns, and we can get to work. So, check it out. You can't Divine Smite at range, it just doesn't work that way. And while there is a range smite ability, we'll talk about it in a second, I can also fly away like an angle thanks to my sorcery heritage. But yeah, I'm literally doing a Radiant Archer build. It's something I've always wanted to do. I'm currently running it on stream using a modded run with the 2024 edition. But I'm going to show you this build can actually work even in vanilla, no mods. Even if I were to be hit, I would probably have a front line, sure. But even if I were to be hit, I can maintain concentration pretty well thanks to my charisma, using the Paladin Aura of Protection, and I get pretty solid damage. It's not going to be the strongest build. I'm not looking for the strongest archer. I'll just play Eldritch Blast at that point. But hey, I'm doing solid damage. I'm playing the archetype pretty well. I've always wanted something like this. And Arcane Synergy is also bumping up the damage from Charisma, so this is pretty cool. And like I said, one last trick gives this a lot of character is I'm doing the Radiant Orbs, I'm doing the sustained Radiant damage, but I can indeed smite at range. Holy moly, look at that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. Oh, I just broke my oath. You broke your oath. All right, I'll break my oath just to entertain you, just to give you a cool, unique build, right? So let's bust out the notes. As always, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for watching. Maybe watch the whole video and I'll check you out at the end to talk more about that. But for now, this is the honest to goodness, a Divine Favour build, like really. So some timestamps and we'll get in with the obvious spotlight Divine Favour. I'll skip over a lot of this, but basically it's not good. Okay, not exactly. If you were to build for this, this is a lot better than I thought. It is a level 1 spell. It's going to add 1d4 radiant damage to each weapon attack. And it's for 3 turns. I'll stop for just a second for a little bit of math. In the early game, bonus damage actually matters, especially in honor mode, right? And so if we do a little bit of 1d4 damage, that actually gets a lot of mileage. If we're spending 1 spell slot, we don't have a lot of them early on, but it is a good chunk of extra damage when you need it. And it is a bonus action. As long as you can concentrate for 3 turns, we can get 3d4 damage out of a level 1 spell slot. I'm not saying it's the best or the craziest thing, but again, bonus action is actually a really good property to this. It's not upcastable, which we'll talk about what we can do with these spell slots, but okay, at least it's a level 1 spell slot, and we'll get it by level 2. And so basically what we can glean is more attacks equals better value. So we'll get extra attack at level 5, so that matters. Also, there's the Radiant Orb set. I've made a dedicated video about this, so to keep it brief, we'll take these 2 pieces of armor and these 2 twin rings, but I'll link you to a video talking more about that, but that's more defensive value for building a character around this spell. And the glow ring is going to amp up the damage by 2 radiant damage every shot as well. So we can enhance it a little bit further with some gear. And we can also use this the turn it's casted. That's why I said bonus property is actually really good because that means we can get all 3 turns, no questions asked, even if we just stumbled into combat by accident. And it's also more cheaper or efficient over time, maybe, if my sorcery multi-class is correct, and since I get extra attack, I can actually double or even triple the value of this thing. So, why Paladin? It's pretty obvious, right? I need to be able to use range weapons. So I get weapon proficiency, but also, like I said, we're probably going to take the Luminous Armor. The Boots of Striding are excellent for this. So that's 2 pieces of medium armor I don't have to go multi-classing looking for. And I don't have to multi-class into Cleric, I just get Divine Favour on any Paladin. So we're off to a good start. We are a half-caster. When we have limited slots here, you'll hear me in some videos, I'll say we want spells with value. To make this simple, Sanctuary is a value spell. I get 10 turns of a condition, even no concentration. It's a bonus action, so for 1 spell slot, I get a lot for 10 turns. Bless is a value spell. Sacred or Spirit Guardians is a value spell. This is kind of a value spell. Again, more for sustained damage, but if we build around it, we get more value out of it for those 3 turns for 1 spell slot. Smites are also only melee, and maybe you just don't want to play a smiting paladin. Oh, that's so, 2024. It's 2025. I don't want to play something new or whatever. So branding smite is a way to smite. We'll talk about it in just a moment. But overall, we can't really smite, especially early on with a ranged paladin build. And we do get extra attack, like I said, amping up from 3 possible attacks to maybe 6 possible attacks using this spell slot. Okay, so we got a lot of good things going for us. And because this is a concentration spell, if we invest in Charisma, then we will get all of our saving throws, including our concentration saving throws, right? This is easier to maintain Charisma thanks to this Paladin aura at level 6. So more Charisma equals better for the build. It actually kind of enhances the damage in a roundabout way. So Devotion subclass makes that investment for Charisma. You can go all in with Charisma because of Sacred Weapon. We can make the bow look cool. It's glowing, right? But it's actually going to add that Charisma bonus to accuracy, and Arcane Synergy will give us damage. So we're actually getting a lot by just going all in on Charisma. This ability works with ranged weapons, and it just fits the theme, baby. We're a divine devotion paladin with a ranged radiant bow. It's awesome. So basically, we can be all in on Charisma as a ranged paladin, and I think that's pretty cool. I've played all the strongest builds. Now I'm just looking for cool character builds that still perform pretty damn well. And we should be actually getting all 3 turns thanks to that Charisma paladin for the Charisma aura on paladins for the concentration loss, right? So by level 5, we're also going to boost the output like I've been talking about. So we know what we're getting out of paladin. Is Sorcerer the right way to go? I think it is, because fuel efficiency with the extended meta magic, right? If you use 1 sorcery point, we could extend this out to 6 turns. So it's less of a headache to keep casting every 3 turns and matching that up. We do have more spell slots for multi-classing into a higher, like a full caster. And this probably is the biggest feature, but you don't have to spend any new resources because you kind of get some freebie sorcery points to make extending the spell worthwhile and just less of a headache. So we also, like I said, the extended spell doubles the length. I'm not going to gloss over this 100 times. But the other thing is, what about our level 2, our level 3, level 4 spell slots? I think this adds a lot of character that we can add the ability to smite at ranged. It's never going to be good as Divine Smite, but it is actually good for burst or nova damage, right? And it does work at ranged. It is upcastable. The only stupid thing in conjunction with Divine Favour that I've struggled with and kind of got over was it's also a concentration bonus action. Just like this is also a bonus action, concentration. Why? I don't know. But again, the objective here is without mods, without homebrew, without changes, right? We're going to have a vanilla Divine Favour build, and we get the cool caveat of using our spell slots as Divine Smite ammo at range. It's weaker than Divine Smite. I get that. But you're the cool guy with the cool new build on the block that can range smite, and that feels pretty cool, pretty awesome, right? So I'll have a dedicated, quick write-up build if you want to copy this and try it yourself. But what's great about this is we are a SAD character. We're just all in on a single ability dependency. So we could be like a warlock, all in on charisma. We can actually play the whole point and style of the build by level 2 by casting Divine Favour, having the proficiency and medium armors and whatnot. So we can play this build early and for the rest of the game. And early on, when you don't have much spell slots, my theory is you would blow this when you have an important fight coming up and you need those 3 turns to kill the Null, that when you're doing the Null fight, or Jor Ragzlin, or the Spider Queen or something. I just know from a lot of experience that's where it's going to play out. So Sorcerer up to level 3 will give us some baseline sorcery points plus the extended meta magic to use them on. And like I said, if it wasn't for these free sorcery points, then what's the point, bro? 1 sorcery point is kind of 1 spell slot anyway, just recast it. So if not for this, this is a nice bonus since more sorcery point or sorcery levels gets us some freebie cast on the extended. Otherwise, just recast the spell every 3 turns. But we get extra attack, it bumps the value up. Maybe if I do this multi-class, it's going to be an 8 Paladin, 4 split. This is going to give me 3 feats, so I can get my Charisma up to 20, and there is the obligatory 10 extra damage on the Sharpshooter here, and that's always good for range builds. It's what makes them pretty powerful, right? And then the Longbow, I'm probably going to play it with a Longbow. Good range, good 1d8 damage on the weapon type, but the Deadshot is just too stupidly accurate once you get this in Act 3. But I will say, this is the one build I feel great about switching over from the Deadshot to the legendary bow because it just fits the theme and it feels legendary to have this Radiant Archer use the Radiant Bow. So, Radiant Orbs though, for real, this does add a lot of value back into justifying a build that uses Divine Favour. I will link the video, like I said, one more time, but the point is it adds a lot of defensive value for having an offensive spell that now gets defensive value. You really can't ask for more. So we get a lot of usage and utility out of that spell, level 1 spell slot, not just bonus damage, but we have it there with the Callous Glow Ring. And for those nerds that know what I'm talking about, the lower mitigation, like since the Callous Glow Ring adds on to Divine Favor's instance of damage, this comes into play in certain fights, but I'll just kind of gloss over it for now. But Boots of Striding, if we're already going to concentrate on a spell like this is another powerful early game gear. The Boots of Striding is going to help you out from maintaining concentration so you don't slip on ice or get pushed or whatever. So that's more value for using this spell. Now we can't be moved or slipped or tripped. So there's more benefits in using that spell slot on Divine Favour. So Arcane Synergy is going to bump up the damage. This is more about using a Devotion Paladin for the Sacred Weapon, but we can stay sad because we get a lot out of our charisma with the Paladin aura, the Arcane Synergy, and the Sacred Weapon. So yeah, a Divine Favour build. It's kind of okay if we build for it. It's a decent usage of our spell slots, which we don't have much as a Paladin, and we're not trying to smite, or really we can't because we're a range build. We're trying something different. There's some bonus damage to it, but that's really not the best part about it. The best part is the defensive value you get for adding in that damage. The concentration allows you to not be pushed around. The meta magic sort of fixes its turn limits since we get some freebies per day. And hey, at least it's not a generic haste or smite build. We're concentrating on something else for heaven's sake. I just love Devotion's Sacred Weapon, so this is just another excuse to show off this ability. But also, I always wanted a Radiant Bow build that isn't gimmicky, like I'm doing what everybody else is, but yeah, I have a 1d4. This actually has a lot of character to it with the defensive properties, the Devotion Sacred Weapon being a charisma build, and also the ability to smite at range as like your ammo with your spell slots, you know, akin to maybe an arcane archer. So it has a lot of personality in the build, which has really, over time, become my favorite builds. I've blasted things with Eldritch Blast, 27 shots in a single turn, gets a little boring. So this is where it's at for me. So this should work also, just as a note, it should work for melee. If you're not about that smite life, or you want to try an alternative way to play a paladin at melee, you could play this build with Divine Favour, with a melee weapon just fine as well. It's the same identity, same idea here. So thank you again for watching. It's thanks to you guys like cool ideas, or I want to run cool stuff on stream and give you some videos kind of detailing it, explaining it. I'll have an unlisted video in the description showing a quick write-up for this build. But also, I want to see you guys maybe check out the playlist. What I do is I run builds like this. I do full honor runs on stream. And I'm actually playing this build. It's modified for a mod called the 2024 rules all in one package, right? And I'd just love to see you there. I run this stuff live on YouTube and Twitch simultaneously. And otherwise, I want to give out a shout out to my members. They support the channel, an extra support with $1 a month. So I try to give you a couple extra content over there on YouTube. But thank you guys for watching. I hope this has inspired you to play a Radiant Divine Favour Archer Paladin. Whoa!